I had to reopen this picture because Microsoft OneDrive is demanding I send all my photographs and videos and writing, music, whatever I have, to their glorious cloud so they can own it. Back to that shit again. They'd stopped for a little while, but now they're back. How you doing, guys? I'm Scott, that's Bo. There's no co-pilot today on the 28th, I believe. 29th. Oh my God, I missed a day. That's right, I didn't do a video yesterday. 29th day of November 2022. Somebody who's I follow on Twitter, for some reason keeps posting Luke Rudkowski shit, retweeting Luke Rudkowski shit. If you haven't figured out who and what Luke Rudkowski is at this point in the game, ain't nothing I can do to help you. He's posting a thing where, because right now, believe it or not, it has turned out that all the shit we went through in 2020 and 2021, and some even up into early part of 2022, all the shit that was done to us, the collaborators in our governments and state and local and federal levels, it was all because of China. China did it to us. China's fault. Take all your hostility and point it towards China. Believe it or not, that's what they're doing. That's the argument I'm going to show you today they're trying to make, based on the most ridiculous fucking sources you could possibly imagine. And so, of course, to jump on that for-profit bandwagon, Luke Rudkowski posts some stupid shit from Bill fucking Gates. And he says, well, if you look at what China's, situation with COVID, there's a lot to learn from that. He says, see, aha! It's all from China. It wasn't the World Economic Forum. It's not the Great Reset and COVID-19, a book that came out in April, by the way, in 2012. They changed the date, by the way, of that book publishing. It looked bad, so they pushed it back to July of 2020. But I know for a fact, I'm sure some of my videos, when I first started talking about that goddamn book, I showed you the fucking Amazon link to it, and I know for a fact it said fucking April. I ain't got to pull it back up, because I know for a fact it said it was published in April. A month into the goddamn COVID-19 shit. COVID-19 and the Great Reset. Small window of opportunity. But no, folks, it's not big business. It's China. I posted this, I put this together because I know it might have been confusing, me going from the website to the website to the website to the website. I thought I'd put it together for you in one image, one graphic. China's situation with fucking COVID the last year and our situation with COVID in the last year. Their population is 1 billion people more than ours. And look at this. We are flatlined. Now 7-day average is 40,000. This is a major peak in the history of COVID-19 for them. A major peak. 7-day average 29,000. But here's a big one. Total deaths, 5,233 in China. Total deaths in a country with 1 billion less people, 1.9 million. 1.9 million. So, when Mr. Gates is asked a question by a reporter about those numbers, what do you think he's going to say? Clearly, what they're doing in China's wrong. No, he can't say that. He can't say that because their reaction to COVID-19, according to the watch list, it's going to go away. Watch. Oh, I gotta take it down and bring it back up for it to go away. Something's right about that. Something's right about that. So that's what Bill Gates was talking about. But of course, Luke Rudkowski wants you to make the association. Guilt by association. He mentioned China was doing something right. Ergo, Bill Gates is just a Chinese puppet. China has been behind the whole thing all along. I got it. I don't know why I keep doing this. I have all these fucking morons on Twitter yelling at people. Yelling at me. Dangist? Is that the thing they say now? I don't fucking know. Tanky? Dangist? Tucker almost came out with the tanky thing. How could any decent human being side with the government of China against the glorious protesters holding up their white pieces of paper? Oh, it's so dramatic. Oh, I hold up my 3 fingers. You know where the white piece of paper came from? Do you? It was used, I think, by somebody before Hong Kong, because trust me, the groomers and the regime change fucking NGO fucking assets, who, by the way, are just stupid. They're just fucking copy and paste. Something works someplace else. Well, oh, that works. Okay, we'll use that. The white piece of paper came from Hong Kong. It might have been used before. I think it was used before, but it was certainly used in Hong Kong against the security law. And people started holding it up about a year after the fucking Hong Kong terrorists. By the way, who fucking Luke Rudkowski, same Luke Rudkowski, went to Hong Kong and followed with them, embedded with them for a month or so as they beat old ladies and set old men on fire. And then, did some videos showing them doing the Lord's work and calling them freedom fighters. Then, that same Luke Rudkowski, because he wanted more people on the real left, supposedly, he came back and was megaphoned by Ryan Christian of The Last American Vagabond. He gave him a 2-hour fucking interview to talk about the situation and how those Hong Kong terrorists are the real freedom fighters. Why? Money. That's money. I often ask myself, I saw Tim Pool. I'm sure many of you guys have seen the same fucking photos of Tim Pool with Kanye and 2 fucking morons, one of them for the fucking staged photograph in the private jet. I'm on a G5, bitches. This is me flexing on you. Nee. In the staged photo, one of the dumbasses is reading this Bible. Kanye is looking studious doing something. The other guy is looking studious doing something. Sure, it's just a random selfie he took. That's what they do. They're not sitting around listening to fucking music, doing blow. No, they're studying the Bible. And his stupid fucking following buys that shit. His stupid fucking followers buy buy that shit. They never ask. It never. They think that something alternative could gain so much traction and so much money. How do you think that's allowed? Who do you think allows that? People are so stupid. People are fucking so stupid. These are controlled assets. And they are paid well. And they are allowed to do what they do and make money from big business. Because they never address big business. They never tell you what to look at. Their targets end up being the targets of big business. I'm sorry, there's a co-pilot. Did he just show up? It's kidding. Someone gave me some shit about petting my cats. They called me a deranged old man. Deranged old man. If I was so fucking vapid and so insecure that I couldn't fucking go outside, I couldn't be seen on a video without wearing a beanie to cover up my male pattern baldness, and so fucking stupid as to say the stupidest shit that motherfucker says and has said over the fucking years, to flip-flop, to go from pretending to be on one side to pretending to be on the other, and now pretending to be back in the middle again. I mean, how many fucking G5s would I have if I made the same goddamn transition? You think? If I came out and said, I am a proven fucking leftist. I'm a real fucking leftist. I'm so fucking left. I saw through Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Al Gore. And I have the fucking writing in the history to prove it. I am so fucking opposed to all of these guys. But I've just come to the realization, oh my God, I was wrong the whole time. I was wrong when I was a 9/11 conspiracy theorist. I've seen the light. How many fucking G5s would I get if I started ranting about fucking, oh my God, the evils of the Communist Party? How many fucking G5s would I get? How fucking long would it take before I could move out of this fucking shithole, you think? It wouldn't take long. Let's talk about this shit. The other day, I told you what Tucker won't tell you. Because Tucker learned my stupid lesson that I fucking won't learn decades ago. And so here he is, screeching about, it's Biden that's hell-bent on crashing the middle class. It's Biden that's doing all this. It's the Democrats and their donors. I told you who was behind it. I told you who was behind it, and I showed you with proof who was behind it. I also told you that Blogger, when I went back and started in 2014, and then I posted that from my archives, an article talking about Rockefeller fund financing global warming movement, that was pulled off my website. Censored. Perfect timing, by the way, if you consider what that was talking about and what this is talking about. And then yesterday I had to go back and pull out the old Coach Mauve pill for you. And I told you why. I showed you why. I showed you why there's this new push to put pressure on the Chinese government. I showed you why. Because China sided with a group of 77 at the COP. 27. They got in our way. They got in the way of our financial oligarchs, of the masters of the fucking universe. They got in the way and they sided with the poor countries, the poor nations. And they said, no, don't take all that money and pump it into the IMF and the World Bank so they can fucking impose neoliberal fucking structural adjustments on these countries in the name of fucking climate change. We'll set up a different fund. We'll take that money. Your heart's in the right place, isn't it, West? Take that money and put it in this fund that has no restrictions like that whatsoever and isn't controlled by the fucking IMF and the World Bank. And the West said, fuck you, we're not doing that. And then the pressure was so great on the West, they had to say, oh, okay, we'll back that because we really want to save the earth. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I told you that shit the other day. What's behind this? How much fucking money is behind this? I told you why they're pissed off. And I gave you all the evidence you need. Go look at it. Curiously enough, What Tucker Won't Tell You was published on November 26th. And here's Tucker now. Oh my God, it's hard to believe this is real. You know why that is? Because it isn't.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson's. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Here's something that we didn't know but now do. In the winter of 2020, Tony Fauci wanted to know how the Chinese Communist Party was responding to COVID. They had COVID, we had COVID, and he wanted to see what they were doing. So he sent one of his deputies, a man called Clifford Lane, to China to find out. And Lane seemed stunned by what he saw there. Entire Chinese cities had been quarantined, the whole city. Huge numbers of people were forcibly locked inside their own homes, in some cases to starve to death. Secret police cruised the streets, forcing pedestrians into windowless vans for the crime of being outside.
Never to be seen again.
Pets, dogs and cats, were declared unclean and beaten to death on the sidewalk. It was a hellish dystopian scene.
Wow.
So Lane returned to the U.S. to tell Tony Fauci what he'd seen there.
Where's he getting all this information? Oh my God. They're beating fucking Granny to death. They're gang raping the puppies. These people are just flat out evil. Who the hell could side with the Chinese government in light of this information? Please do tell us where you got the information that you were citing. Mr. Carlson. By the way, I certainly hope Max Blumenthal and fucking Johnny and Jimmy Dore do interviews with him this week. They can all get to the bottom, share all that good information from Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, by the way, who won't tell you who's really behind shutting down the fucking middle class and making the economy scream. But that's okay. He's going to give us truth this time, isn't he? What's your source, Tucker?
But Tony Fauci was not disgusted. He was not appalled by the human rights abuses that Clifford Lane had seen in China. According to a new report in the Epoch Times, based on depositions...
Epoch Times? EPIC? No. He's talking Epoch Times. Oh, Epoch Times. Okay. Who is the Epoch Times? That's this article. Fauci defended lockdowns during deposition, said China was the inspiration. Now, you can't read this in any way, shape, or form because you got to sign up. It says it's free, but I'm not signing up to the Epoch Times. So I went to the Wayback Machine. By the way, the Wayback Machine, somehow or another, the Epoch Times is able to do the same fucking thing. They hit you with the same. You got to sign up even to see this on the Wayback Machine. But you have a few seconds, as this will demonstrate, You have a few seconds before it hits you with the box. There it is. That's on the Wayback Machine. Let me get rid of that because... So, I cheesed it. This is by Zachary Steiber. Fauci defended lockdowns during deposition, said China was the inspiration. Lawyer. This is from the Epoch Times. This is a fascinating article full of no real fucking serious, no fucking links to this lawyer who said this. However, they make it perfectly clear that that first fucking series of lockdowns and all that shit that hurt us and that hit us, it wasn't Donald Trump's fucking administration, and it certainly wasn't Donald Trump that did it to us, even though Fauci was his point man. No, it's not Donald Trump. It's China's fault. Fauci, who helped lead federal government response to the pandemic during President Donald Trump's administration, he was the point man. He didn't help. Repeatedly backed measures that were believed to help contain COVID-19. In early 2020, for example, Fauci said on CNN he supported policies that would lead to a dramatic diminution, whatever that word is, of the personal interaction that we see in restaurants and bars. For a while, life is not going to be the way it used to be in the United States, he said on Fox News around the same time. We have to just accept that if we want to do what's best for the American public. Fauci was successful in convincing Trump to advocate for 15 days to slow the spread, according to accounts from Deborah Birx and others who work closely with the doctor. Birx said in her book, "No sooner had we convinced Trump administration to implement our version of 2-week shutdown, I was trying to figure out how to extend it." Who is the cause of all that? Is it fucking Trump? No. Is it fucking the businesses and the fucking and the pharmaceutical companies that own Fauci? No. It's China. A top U.S. health official who publicly backed lockdowns during COVID-19 pandemic defended his position in a deposition on November 23rd, according to people who were present for the questioning. Dr. Fauci, a longtime director of the U.S. National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, and President Joe Biden's chief medical advisor, and Trump's COVID-19 czar, also said the inspiration for the lockdowns was communist-run China. One of the people said. Who? One of the people. Fauci sat for a 7-hour deposition in Bethesda, Maryland, where the headquarters for the Institute's parent agency are located. He was forced to answer questions under oath on orders from a federal judge who is set to decide whether government should be blocked from pressuring big tech firms into censoring posts and users. Let me stop for 1 second. Oh, that evil government. Do you think Twitter does this shit because of government? You think fucking the great fucking industrialist fucking captain of the universe fucking Musk isn't doing the same thing? There's still censorship in fucking Twitter. There's still censorship on Twitter. People are still getting banned. Didn't do it for government. Did it for big business. Because big business dictates to government what they do. While Fauci often could not recall actions he took during the pandemic, he did talk about his role in advocating for lockdowns. Fauci said that Dr. Clifford Lane, a deputy director of NIAID, reported back to him after Lane went to China in early 2020, a few months after the first cases of COVID-19 were detected in Wuhan. Lane reported China appeared to be controlling COVID-19 virus through harsh lockdowns, and Fauci soon decided the U.S. needed to emulate China, at least to an extent. according to Jenin Yoons, one of the lawyers present for the deposition. This is what we had to do. There were freezer trucks in New York full of bodies, Fauci said. Yoons told the Epoch Times. New York was hit hardest by the pandemic. Critics said that the unusual policies, such as ones that forced nursing homes to accept people who tested positive for COVID-19, an unusual policy, led to the elevated numbers of deaths. Tens of thousands of people died in New York nursing homes with COVID-19. That was an unusual policy. That was an unusual policy, sending people infected with a virus that primarily kills older people and people who are sick to nursing homes. What an unusual choice that is, says the writer for the Epoch Times. Chinese officials, meanwhile, told residents in various areas to remain inside their homes and forced many to comply by barricading their doors. Proof not required. China is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, which regularly commits human rights abuses against Christians, Falun Gong practitioners, and others. Wait a minute. Human rights abuses against Christians, Falun Gong practitioners, and others? Why won't they mention the Uyghurs? Oh, that's right. The Falun Gong hate the Uyghurs. Why do I have Falun Gong practitioners highlighted there? Why do I have Falun Gong practitioners highlighted there? This is the article. This is the piece of shit article from the Epoch Times. That Tucker Carlson cites. And will later say in this video, I'll show you, what kind of despicable human being would side with the fucking Chinese government over the protesters? Oh my God, what kind of monster are you? And this is his evidence. Epoch Times. Epoch Times, boys and girls. Epoch Times, they are, by the way, oh, that's right. Epoch Times is CIA, State Department. In 2000, Mark Palmer, one of the National Endowment for Democracy's founders and a vice chairman of Freedom House, an organization funded entirely by the U.S. Congress, founded a new government-supported group, Friends of the Falun Gong. By perusing Friends of Falun Gong's annual tax filings, one discovers that the Friends of Falun Gong had contributed funds to Sounds of Hope Radio, the new Tang Dynasty TV, and Epoch Times. All Falun Gong media outlets. Friends of Falun Gong also contributed to Dragon Springs, a Falun Gong compound that hosts a Falun Gong school and residency complex, and Shenyun, a Falun Gong performance company, as well as to Falun Gong public relations arms. In order to contextualize U.S. government's funding of Falun Gong, it would also be helpful to examine a handful of additional U.S. agency activities, such as the NED's funding of Xiaobu, the Hong Kong protests, and other China-related and Tibet-related groups. Here's a nice long abstract, and you can click on this if you wish to read the article. Falun Gong, which he just fucking cited, is a National Endowment for Democracy creation. Falun Gong's Epoch Times, at least the Friends of Falun Gong were, which of course is financed by the U.S. State Department, USAID, CIA, and of course, National Endowment for Democracy. It's a regime change outlet. So the regime change outlet says, all of you guys who were pissed off because of what was done to you in the early to mid, even later stages of COVID-19 policies here in the United States, don't be mad at big business. Don't be mad at the goddamn government who is bought and paid for, by the way, started under fucking Trump. Don't be mad at them. Be mad at China. Says the institution that was created to regime change, China. Of course, does Tucker tell you any of that? No, he does not. He cites professional liars as his first bit of evidence in this "it's hard to believe this is real" segment. Who else does he cite? I had a whole list. I can't go through the whole list. I've taken too much time out of your life right now. I've got a whole list on this little nifty napkin that I got because this is the life that I fucking live. Because I won't jump on the fucking bandwagon like folks like Whitney Webb and Tim Pool and all the rest. I took all these fucking notes carefully. The whole fucking segment of his fucking show. Because I was going to break it apart bit by bit by bit, by piece by piece by piece. And you know what? Fuck it. It's just not fucking worth it. I'm pissed off. Who does he cite in his video? He cites Falun Gong outlet that's designed for fucking regime change in China. He cites CNN, not once but twice. CNN. For the truth that CNN's been known to fucking pass out to their fucking audience members. And who's primary out there? Who's the guy out there? Who's the primary guy out there exposing the lies of CNN? Oh, that's right. It's Tucker fucking Carlson. And now he's citing all this bullshit from Tucker fucking from CNN as if it's true. And then COVID concentration camps. We're back to COVID concentration. We got Chinese concentration camps again. Oh my God. Do you know where the COVID concentration camp story came from? This is why I said twice. You know where the COVID concentration camps come from? It was September 2021. No, January 2021. He shows you videos. Oh my God, they're building these COVID concentration camps. They're going to lock down all their fucking people. This is over a year and almost 2 years old. And he's citing it in this video as if it's fucking new. Where's the goddamn COVID concentration camps thing? He shows the bullshit fucking, here we go. There's a COVID concentration camp section. See the big fucking, see all the fucking, this is 2 years old. See the cranes? See the little holes on the sides of the fucking, these are container cars. See the little tiny holes? See the little tiny holes? See all the cranes? This is 2 years old. And they didn't know how bad it was going to get. So they were putting these fucking things, containment areas together. because they were afraid there was going to be some massive fucking die-off in China, kind of like the massive die-off here, but they never had it. So they never used it. That's 2 fucking years old. And this motherfucker is just lying through his goddamn teeth. And who did that in the first place? CNN. God damn. I mean, god damn, people. It's a damn good thing I don't switch sides. Because if I did, I'd be a hell of a lot smarter at it and better at it than those motherfuckers. I mean, shit. So he cites Falun Gong's outlet, the Epoch Times, not Epic Times, Epoch Times. Known fucking liars and propagandists and regime change fucking outlet. He cites CNN, who he's claimed he makes a living. He makes millions of dollars a year pointing out when fucking CNN is fucking lying. And now all of a sudden, CNN's telling you the truth. He cites Fauci to say the whole thing is China's fault. All the lockdowns that were imposed by the Trump administration, by the Biden administration, it's all fucking China's fault. And what has he been saying about fucking Fauci for the last couple of fucking, year? Remember, he was on board with this shit to begin with. What's he been saying about Fauci for the last year? Oh yeah, Fauci's a liar and will say anything to deflect blame. Jesus. I want to show you one thing. I am checking my notes. I don't believe that I'm doing that, but I am. I don't give a fuck. I did want to show you one thing, though. Of course, I can't see because...
Actively been its own concentration camp for the last 3 months. It's been complete...
There's the white paper. There's the holding up the white paper. I told you about the white paper being an old thing from here's the white paper. They regurgitate. They try to reuse. If something tested well in the fucking focus groups, they'll go back and reuse it again. This is another sign. It's another clue that what they're doing is manufactured. And of course, the violence. The violence from the fucking Hong Konger elements.
We'll see where this goes, but again, these are the biggest protests that we know about to occur in China since 1989. But what's interesting is the reaction in this country. So you watch those clips and you wonder, who could be rooting for the secret police?
Who indeed? What kind of monster could you be? Not rooting for the fucking Falun Gong and our NED fucking National Endowment for Democracy backed fucking assets. Who could possibly be on the side of China? What kind of animal are you?
In those clips, how could any decent person possibly...
I'm not a decent person. If I don't fucking buy into the National Endowment for Democracy's regime change propaganda.
...be on the side of the Chinese government. Against the population of the country, the people, against human rights.
Against the population of the people. Here are the people. Here are the people calling out the fake protesters. Just like they did in Libya. Back when that was going on. Remember that woman who ran into the fucking press after she was supposedly gang raped for 3 days by the entire fucking Lebanese army of Libya, and she had fought her way to freedom, supposedly after being gang raped by all these guys. And what does she do? Does she go home? Does she take a shower? Does she go to the doctor? Does she go to the hospital? No. Somehow or another, she knew where all the press was, the Western press was, in a hotel, and she ran to do a fucking interview. Is that what a woman does after she's been raped? Humiliated, violated, in the worst kinds of ways. Go tell the press. She had to leave the country because the women of Libya, even after our regime change was successful, the women of the country spit on her for being such a disgusting liar. What's happening in China?
你知道廣州人係點嘅咩？廣州人本來好包容嘅，俾你啲人逼到出嚟唔包容你哋，傻閪嚟嘅而家。你而家睇下搞成咁嘅閪樣，你訴求乜柒啊你咪就係搞事咯。一睇你就知搞
Just
事
him making trouble. What do you really want? What do you want? What they want is regime change. In the first video I did talking about that, that's what you heard them talking about. We down with the Communist Party. Remove the Communist Party. Remove Xi Jinping. Remove everyone. We need regime change. Poor fist. What kind of human being, what kind of despicable human being could you possibly be if you don't stand with the protesters in China? New York Times has an interesting article on this, saying China's regrouping. They're putting up more fucking police because these guys prefer to beat up old people and set them on fire for their videos, for their TikTok videos, for their clout. Why? In Hong Kong, the groomers, and I use that word deliberately because most of the protesters were young kids, too young and naive to understand what some fucking American or British piece of shit was doing in their country, trying to get them to attack their own people in order to bring about a regime change that would benefit those countries and hurt the people of Hong Kong. So they had to go with stupid young people. Sorry, fact. So, but they asked them what they wanted, and they told them what they wanted, which had nothing really to do with the security law, which had been pulled anyway by that time. They just wanted regime change. And so, of course, that's the same thing they want in fucking China. They're just there because that's who pays them. Who pays them to support regime change? Well, the article in the New York Times talks about the fact that they're putting more of these police in these areas where these fake protesters are congregating and doing their little scenes by attacking people at these fucking facilities set up, temporary facilities set up where they are testing COVID. Because again, say what you will about what China's policies, they've had 5,300 deaths in a country of 1.4 billion. We've had 1.09 million deaths in a country less than a billion, more than 1 billion less here in the United States. Of course, they didn't send infected people to their fucking facilities where they took care of the elderly and the infirmed. They didn't do that. What an odd policy that was. But China, Was it China's idea for them to do that here? For us to do that here? Fauci might tell you so. Tucker Carlson might tell you so. The Falun Gong might tell you so. Whitney Webb might tell you so. Any number of those fucking people on Twitter might tell you so. But the reality is, no. It's interesting because these protests are slowing down. Why are they slowing down? They're slowing down because of that. Because the Chinese people are pushing back against it. They're not going to have the same shit that took place in fucking Hong Kong take place in their country. They're not going to have it. They're not going to tolerate it. Tucker also mentions an article or a statement made by this guy. This is Eric Fiegelding. And Eric Fiegelding, his parents left China after it was going to be obvious that they were changing their policies, no longer being neoliberalized. So his parents took off, and he ends up going to Johns Hopkins University. Well, what else was Johns Hopkins recently known for? That's right. They took part in Event 201. And it was Johns Hopkins University and people educated and working at Johns Hopkins University who came out in 2020, early 2020, and said, it's going to be millions and millions of dead people lining the streets. They'll be tossing the bodies out the windows. It's going to be horrible. We have to lock down. We have to do all this shit. And who was one of the people that said that? Eric Fiegelding. It was so bad what he did. This is actually on his wiki page, the CIA-controlled wiki page. Quote, Fiegelding holds doctorates in both epidemiology and nutrition, with his professional experience in nutritional epidemiology and epidemiology of chronic disease. Prior to COVID-19 pandemic, his research work and expertise primarily focused on health effects of diet and exercise. He also lacked academic publication in infectious disease epidemiology, the subfield of epidemiology most relevant to viral outbreaks in COVID-19. Because of this, Fiegelding had been criticized for misrepresenting his qualifications to offer media commentary on the COVID-19 pandemic, and he is the third source. That he mentions in this video. A known liar. Somebody who, by the way, was known for exaggerating. Fiegelding disclosed he is not subspecialized in infectious diseases and claims to have never misrepresented himself as an infectious disease epidemiologist, which is exactly what Tucker Carlson calls him. It's hard to believe this is real. Yeah, you're right, Tucker. It is. You know why? Because it isn't. I'll post a link to a couple of these things that I've mentioned here for you. One of the things that Tucker Carlson says, again, another fucking lie. He posts this video where somebody's asking the White House spokesperson, what's her name? I don't even know her name. He says, well, we've got protesters and videos of protesters going, we want free speech. What is the Biden administration's position? Do we stand with them? How could you not? And her response is basically, it wasn't her, it was fucking what's his face, the other guy, I forget, the little mousy dude. He says, they kind of speak for themselves, they're doing their own thing, but the White House supports anyone's call across any protesters calling for freedom of speech. And he literally says that. He literally comes back and says he didn't say that. And here's an article from Voice of America. Washington expresses support for Chinese protesters. I'm sorry, could that be any less obvious? The White House Monday expressed support for peaceful protesters popping up around China, but administrative officials did not say whether Beijing should change the strict zero COVID policies that drove the weekend demonstrations. That's not what drove the weekend demonstrations. What drove the weekend demonstrations, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, was what fucking China did to us at the COP27. And if you don't believe me, please check out my other video from 2 days ago, and that will make it perfectly clear. 2 days ago. And then from 3 days ago, you can take a look and see how Tucker Carlson is straight up lying to you about who's trying to fucking wreck the economy and make the economy scream in order to bring about a transition to the Great Reset policies. Oh, fuck. What color would my G5 be? I didn't obviously start off the video thinking I would run down that fucking path, but since we're on it, what color would my fucking G5 be? I would be absolutely the worst rich person ever in the history of rich people. I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd be buying fucking fetuses, sucking them down, trying to live forever because I'm rich. Last thing you want is somebody who was never fucking wealthy and never had any fucking money to suddenly get a bunch of money. That's just awful. They're just awful when that happens. All I need is a fucking beanie. And to lose any kind of self-respect that I have. And to stop giving a shit about the fucking people of this country. That's all I need. And I'd be right there with them. Tim Pool, Whitney Webb, all the rest of them. China. China did it. Who ate your homework? China. Is what it is. Anyway, there you go. So the lockdown policies and all the fucking shit, sending the fucking infected people to the little old ladies, mRNA vaccines, even though they're not sold in fucking China and they won't let them in the fucking country. That's still China. They did all of it. China's responsible for everything. How's that? China's responsible for everything. China did it all. China fucking rigged our election system. China's behind that shit too. China made us drop fucking atomic weapons on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. China did that too. China killed fucking Kennedy. China did 9/11. How's that? You guys feel better? It ain't the shoes, motherfucker. And it ain't China.